Today's brain hack is something called an amygdala hijack. I have so many people ask me what amygdala hijack is, what it means, and how do you get out of it. So today I'm going to explain it for you. An amygdala hijack is something that happens when there is a perceived threat. Say somebody almost hits you when you're driving or somebody cuts you off and it's really close on the highway. What happens in your brain is that the amygdala, a very small almond shaped area of the brain, actually hijacks your brain and takes over. All your thinking stops. It almost goes into a shutdown state, your brain. And so you forget whatever else you're going to do on the way home. Like, say you were going to go pick up some groceries or you're going to call a friend. Nonetheless, you surrender to like what happens and you finish driving home. Okay. But you stop thinking what you were actually thinking because the amygdala has sent out these neurochemicals in your brain to flood your system. So when I get asked what an amygdala hijack is, it's when there's something that happens to you that is serious, a serious threat, and it's a perceived or a real threat. You can perceive a threat or you can actually have a real threat, like a car almost hitting you. When something like that happens and it's serious, the brain takes it serious, okay? What happens again is the brain shuts down. And when the brain shuts down, you kind of have to surrender to it. You don't get a choice. And there are these neurochemicals that are going through your system. They flood your system and you don't really know what just happened. It's almost like when you're in shock a little bit. So when you get home after you almost got cut off and you almost had a car accident, you get home and you might be asked, hey, where's the broccoli for dinner? Or did you fill up the car with gas? And you say no. The term is amygdala hijack. That term is coined by Daniel Goleman in his book, Emotional Intelligence. And this is just one way to explain how the brain reacts when it perceives a serious threat. Okay. It could be real or perceived. So like I mentioned, the amygdala is a small organ in the center of the brain, okay, that actually surveys constantly for threats. Okay. And it wants to know if we're going to be in a fight or flight or we're going to be more relaxed. And when it actually does feel fight or flight, it triggers this release of hormones into your system when the amygdala senses fear, and it puts us in that fight or flight or that sympathetic nervous system. Okay. When this happens, you're in that fight or flight. Our language, like the word choice that we're choosing changes, our memory, executive functioning, planning, thinking, all of that stuff, retrieval of your memories of what you're thinking of what you should have done, like what was on your list, you can't remember. And the most important thing that people usually take out of these little brain hacks on amygdala hijack, when I explain it to them, is it takes about 4 hours to come back to normal. The hormones that have been released into your body need to be absorbed and come back to normal levels before we can function optimally and not be affected by the stress that actually hit us. So a lot of times people ask me, well, how do I get out of that? And one thing I want to tell you, I feel like in the last 2 years, everything that we've experienced has put us a little bit in a more hypervigilant state. So everybody's a little bit more hypervigilant of fears, a little bit more afraid of the future, and we're a little bit more short fused now. I know we're back to life as it was, but the amygdala is overworking or overreacting to things. And we need to find ways to actually calm the amygdala down and calm our fears down. And neuroscience will actually explain these to you. So one thing you can do is focus on something that brings you meaning and purpose in your life. It might be your family. It might be your work. It might be working out. By doing that regularly, okay, it actually starts to rewire the brain so that it's not so hypervigilant. Now, you want to do this consciously. So you really want to consciously choose to focus on what is meaningful and purposeful in your life. It can't be just you go to work out and you're kind of humdrum and you just go work out. Focus on the fact that it has meaning and it does build purpose in your life, whether it's your family or anything. And that starts to rewire your brain. Another thing you can do to rewire your brain is think about something that you're grateful for. So I have a routine every day. I work out and I do things like push-ups or plank or something like this. I always go to immediately, what are 5 things that I'm grateful for? And I really bring those into my awareness. And I'm very conscious about what I'm grateful for in each one of these things. When I do that, it actually strengthens the neural pathways of gratitude and it allows me to be more positive and that amygdala, most importantly, to be less reactive. Now, the last way is probably the most powerful way to rewire that. It's meditation. Meditation is another way to calm down or dampen that overreactivity of the amygdala. Okay. Meditation, what it does is it concentrates our focus or our attention inward instead of externally on our body. So on our breath or something like this. And when we're focusing inward, say on our breath, okay, we are now not thinking about that perceived threat. Now, the key to this meditation is absorbing yourself in that focus. So really focusing 100% of yourself wholeheartedly, inwardly on your breath or rotating your awareness around your body. And what you're doing is you're holding that focus and that concentration. It's triggering the parasympathetic or the relaxation response. So it immediately quiets the amygdala. Actually, this changes our relationship with stress over time. And Daniel Goldman, in his research that he has done, he mentions that it's going to take 4 short months to create new neural pathways. These neural pathways, so when you actually are triggered by something that's stressful, a serious stressor, it's going to be more likely that you don't react as strong or you don't react at all, and you just keep your head and your wits about you. So you're more grounded and centered when there's a stressful event in front of you, whether that's a potential car accident, a health concern, a divorce. I mean, who knows what it is, job loss. So meditation will really change that relationship with stress. And it takes about 4 short months to create those neural pathways, creating a new tendency. Like, so that tendency means it's going to be that new thing that you're doing is going to be stronger, a stronger pull towards that than the old one. Okay. So all this also helps us regulate our emotions. It restores our blood flow to the prefrontal cortex when we meditate, and it reboots our executive functioning. So overall, an amygdala hijack is when the amygdala hijacks the brain. It sends out neurotransmitters in the body. It kind of takes over, and it takes about 4 hours to come back from that. Now, there are 3 ways that I told you that you can actually start to rewire your brain to come back. One is to think about consciously things that have meaning and purpose in your life and do this every day. Another one is to think about things that you're grateful for every day. Again, and do this consciously. It starts to rewire that neural functioning and those neural pathways in your brain. The last one and the most powerful one is meditation. And what the meditation is focusing inward with a concentrated attention on your breath or inside on bodily sensations, rotating your awareness around your body. Any of those things will work. It takes 4 short months to create new neural pathways and a new tendency, so you're not so reactive when there is an amygdala hijack or any type of stress in your brain. I hope that explained an amygdala hijack for you, and I am happy to take questions. So just DM me with any of your questions. And if you have a specific brain hack that you'd like, please DM me. Thank you.